Hey, yo, what's up? It's Kenyon Dixon, aka R&B Kenny, and you're checking out Music Exclusives TV.
Hey everybody, it's Jada, and today here at MX we have the artist that is trying to bring back real R&B, Kenyon Dixon. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Okay, so let's start with the new album, the new project. I love it. I really do
Thank you.
think that it captures the essence of like that old R&B feeling. So, what was your process like making the R&B you love?
Man, working on this album, a lot of research, for sure. I think my intention with this album was to really showcase the brilliance of R&B, like every era, not just the '90s, not just the early 2000s, but even in the '90s, I feel like it's layered. Like early '90s sound different than the mid '90s, sound different than late '90s. You know what I mean? And then you got like the soul of the '70s and the '80s. So I really just wanted to tap into some of my influences and bring those influences to my generation of listeners and my fan base to kind of let them know like what inspires me. So yeah, a huge part of the intention as well was to bring back the feeling that we always talk about. We talk about like what's missing in R&B music and how we used to feel when it was like a more prevalent genre, amongst the industry, and it got a little more shine. So I just really wanted to make sure everybody felt those eras again. That was really my intention with this one.
And who are some of your influences from those eras?
Man, Marvin, of course. I'm a huge Marvin fan. Anita Baker. Anita Baker's incredible. Got Jodeci. You got Next. You have Drew Hill. You got Tyrese. You got Joe. Even aside from just the artists, like you got Timberlake. You got the Underdogs. You know what I mean? Dre and Vidal. Like there's so Usher. There's so many different creatives that has like inspired me from. I'll go all the way back to Nat King Cole. You know what I mean? I love Nat, Bilal, D'Angelo. Like I could go on forever with the influences. So that's what made this project fun because I could pull from so many different eras of music.
And speaking of Next, how was it collaborating with RL to create 2000s R&B?
Incredible, man. RL is really he's just a great guy overall. Like he's amazing creative, but he's an even greater person. So that's always cool as creatives to be able to come together like that. And when I reached out to him, he didn't hesitate at all. He showed love immediately. And as a younger creative, I really appreciate that because we don't have a lot of camaraderie amongst our generation of creatives. And so a lot of our heroes don't really take to our music in the way that we do it. So that really meant a lot that he was willing to, lend his genius to just the next generation of R&B. So I was really appreciative of that.
And you just dropped the vignette, I hope I said that right,
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
How was it like channeling that vibe? Because you were in the rain, you
Yeah,
had on the leather, like it was real authentic. One spot, car,
yeah.
spotlight. Like how was it when you were filming it?
Honestly, I really felt like I felt like I was shooting just I was in the early 2000s. I really felt like that. Now I didn't know what I was getting into when I was walking into that water, so I was hesitant, and so I didn't know how long I was gonna last in it. So I remember telling my guy Hope, who shot that video, I told Hope like, "All right, bro, once I walk in, like let's just go for it, cause I don't really know, how well this is gonna go over." And so we just went for it, and I thought about all my influences, like even mentioned in that song, like I reference Case, Missing You. I reference One Wish by Ray J. There's a little bit of everything the Underdogs ever produced in the early 2000s in there. There's a spirit of that. Usher, Confessions. I thought about all of those creatives in those moments, and I'm like, if I was in that moment, you know what I mean? Like, how would I feel? So I just tried to channel those spirits and that energy, like, and I, just went for it.
Okay, and how do you feel about the outpour of support following your project? Because I've seen a lot of positive reviews. I
Yeah,
personally really like it, and I think that you did accomplish what you set out to.
thank you. This has been one for the books. It's crazy because every time I put out a project, I feel like that's the best response, and then it's like I drop another project, and I'm like, whoa, this was better response than the last one. So like, Closer, my album before this one, had gotten so much love that I was like, I felt like, man, it's gonna be impossible to top that, and somehow they've topped it. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for just having a vision and the team to be able to bring it to life, and the fans that make me feel the love and they never let the music fall on deaf ears. So I really appreciate them.
So speaking on, the inspiration behind the album, the R&B You Love, how do you feel about today's state of R&B music? Because we hear a lot of conversations of people saying R&B is dead, the subject matter has like drastically changed to more like
Yeah.
toxic and different vibes than what it was back in the day. So how do you feel about this kind of like new generation of R&B?
I would say the first thing to identify is that life looks a lot different now than it did in the 90s and 2000s. So art really does imitate life. So what we're hearing is people's like real time experiences. I feel like love looks a lot different in 2023 than it did in the 90s. And, we have social media now, which is a huge influence on how we approach relationships and just how we interact with people. So I think that's one. The other thing is the outlets and the way you're able to put out music. The chances of somebody in the 90s or 80s being able to put out music on their own was very slim. Everything pretty much ran through labels, and you had just certain validation you had to get before you could release music. Now, technology has advanced so far that anybody, they can do it all from home. You could record from home, mix it, and upload it for it to be put out and never have to get anybody's opinion on the music. So I think that what that has done, that has given us some really dope art, but that's also has given us a higher amount of art to have to sift through to find what we like. So I think that is just a part of the issue. There's a lot more music, but I will say that dichotomy has always been there. It's just been controlled a little better. Like even in the 90s and the 80s, there was music that wasn't as great as the music that we love, you know what I mean? But we didn't have to see it as much. Everybody didn't have platforms, the labels and the platforms control what they wanted to see, but you can build a following on your own on social media. You don't need the labels and everything like that. So I think I don't know. I think there's the negative and the positive, and it might be a little harder to sift through. But for myself, it's rewarding, even as an artist, because I'm also a connoisseur and advocate for R&B. So when I find music that I love, it makes me happy that I had to, maybe hear a bunch of stuff that I didn't like to finally find that one jewel. Like it's always worth it for me. So I think that there are some genius creatives in this. In this generation as well, and I think we have to allow like creatives to create. We don't want, you don't want everything to sound alike. I think some of the biggest OGs and legends probably appreciate you letting them inspire you versus you trying to do exactly what they did. You know what I mean? So I love that my generation of creatives are fearless. They look at the criticism, and if they feel like it matters, they incorporate it. But I appreciate that they don't stop. They put out what they want to put out, and I think there's a lot to be said about that. So.
Okay, and now shifting to genres, because you recently just had a pop hit with Justin Timberlake with Timberland and Nelly. So how did that collaboration come about?
So me and JT, we write together a lot. We've been working on his album that he'll release soon. We did a lot of writing together on that, and our relationship started because I toured before I got into solely being an artist. I toured as a background vocalist for Justin for like 4 or 5 years, and so the first record we wrote together was a record called Perfect for Me that he did on the Trolls album, and from there we started building and realized that we worked really well together. And so he brought me in on the album, and this was, as we were working on the album, this came about. We did a lot of work with Timberland already, and obviously they have history. And so they had a record with Nelly, and we were in the studio one day, and Tim brought the record up, and JT was down to do the record, and so he brought me in on that. So yeah, it was really cool. It's just an extension of how we already work, but. Yeah, man, he just gets it. He's really one of the GOATs, like, in this music game, and just a great person. I'm big on that. Like, you meet a lot of creative, nice, genius people in music, but, like, he's a great person, and he has, like, always, extended this opportunity for me to create and give me a safe space to get my ideas out as we collaborate together. So, yeah, there's another one of those collaborations. He's really become, like, one of my favorite people to work with.
And kind of piggybacking off of collaborations, you were also nominated for a Grammy for Best Traditional Performance.
Yeah, traditional R&B.
Yes. So how did it feel like to be a part of that trio that was nominated?
Insane. Amazing because in music, accomplishments, I always feel better with family. And so like PJ Morton, BJ the Chicago Kid, like those are my brothers. Like BJ the Chicago Kid was one of the first people I was like singing background for early on. Charlie Bereal, who played guitar on there, like, that's LA Connect. So I grew up with Charlie and like his family, you know what I mean? Crazy talented family. And so, and me and PJ, that's my guy. So it was especially great to be there, like with people that you actually are cool with. But what made that nomination especially cool was, it was Sam Cooke's, our version of Sam Cooke's "Bring It On Home to Me." That was like 50 years from when we got nominated. He got his first nomination, Sam Cooke, and it was for that same exact song. So that was pretty cool because it made us also a part of like the legacy of Sam Cooke in that record. So there was a lot of just divine happenings there, I would say. It seemed like it was something that was supposed to happen. So I think we'll always share that moment, and it'll be special to each one of us.
Okay, and I wanted to ask, seeing that there's so many people that are known for writing, and now we kind of see a lot of these writers having like their breakout year or their breakout moment, like Money Long, Victoria Monet. Do you think that this trend is kind of like the year of the writers, where it's like the people that are more so behind the scenes now, because you guys are the creators of the mood and the vibe, like, and you're artists first.
Yeah.
It's kind of like more of a space for you guys to have your breakout moment.
I think I would say it's been like that at least for a couple years now. Like when you look at, and I think a lot of artists don't get a chance to share their stories. That was something I actually tweeted about a second ago, which was like when we find out about artists and creatives, they've usually been working for so long in so many different capacities when we get them. Like for instance, people just finding out about my music, the ones who are just finding out, they feel like, oh cool, I just found out about this new artist. Like I've toured with like everybody possible. I've written for so many people, you know what I mean? And artists don't always get a chance to share that. But when you look at the track record of like who labels sign, that's why so many cool facts come out. You end up finding out who wrote what. Like I just saw something the other day, like Future wrote, like it's a song we all know, I can't think of it, but it's a rap song that like we all know. And at the time Future wasn't like, we didn't know him as Future, you know what I mean? And so stuff like that, I think, shows that the labels always know. They typically know, and it makes sense because the writers are the ones writing for the artists. Then they kind of already understand half of the game, which is making the hit. You know what I mean? So I think I'm very happy to see it happening with a lot of writers who are genuinely artists, because a lot of times that ends up being like a side thing for you. They really go into it because they want to be artists, but they don't have the outlets yet. You know what I mean? So with Money Long, who, and Money Long, Victoria, like they've been working for like a long time, you know what I mean? Like creating some amazing records. So like the writer in me and the artist in me really appreciates like seeing that, because I think we identify with each other because we know what that's like. When you're in the sessions, you're writing these songs and it's like, you're dreaming because you're like, yes, I'm doing this, but like, man, this would be amazing if I could be doing what I'm doing for somebody else, you know what I mean? So I just, I'm happy for them and like our whole community of singers, songwriters, because it doesn't happen for everybody, and you work for like a really long time, and with art, almost never get back what you put into it immediately. So to see something come into fruition that you've planted like in your lifetime, I think that's special, because it's a very small percentage of people get to experience that.
So how would you describe how you feel about your moment now? Like, do you think that you're at your like breakthrough moment? Do you still think that there's more to come?
I'm just getting started. As long as I've been working as many records as I put out, like I my energy right now and my drive is like, it's high. I still got like so many albums in me. So I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for like, being able to receive more visibility and more love and everything like that. But it really just inspires me to work harder, because I for sure I don't even think I've hit like anywhere close to the ceiling of, what my trajectory is and what I feel like God has for me. I feel like there's so much more for me to do. So I think saying that I feel like this is my moment would be a disservice to myself because I won't limit whatever my blessings are. I'm just open and ready to work to receive them.
Okay, and what is it like collaborating with City Year on their upcoming activation Eat Drink with Spotify?
It's amazing. I really appreciate it, especially because so Spotify's EDU department, which is called Soundtrap, led by Leandro and Justin, they're amazing people. And I come from LA Unified, which is our school district. And so, like even in school, I was involved in music. And then when I graduated from school, I got into education for a second. So there's like a special place in my heart for just providing art to students, because a lot of this we didn't even have access to. When I talked to the kids before at Spotify for an event they do called the Beat Battle, I'm like, it was sponsored by like may have been Fender or Gibson. It was sponsored and they were winning like laptops and like guitars and like the kids were telling me about like what they get to produce on like in class, and I'm like, man, we didn't have any of that. So I'm like, yo, take advantage of it, So I love being able to give back to just to my community and especially to those LA Unified kids, man, because I know what that feels like because there were so many, talented students that I was surrounded by, and we didn't have like the proper outlets. So it's really cool to me and important to be able to just extend and expand their opportunity and like horizons for what they're creating and what they feel like they can create. So being able to partner with City Year for this, I think is going to be something special, and it's something that the kids will really remember.
Okay, and what is some advice that you would give to any like upcoming artists, especially artists that want to be in the R&B genre, but they hear all these conversations that are a little bit discouraging?
Embrace your uniqueness. I think that's a huge part of it. I think like there's like this formality that, and I think that extends outside of music, but there's like a formality that society tries to like push on you and fit you into this box of whatever makes everybody most comfortable. Make them uncomfortable. Do what you feel like you want to do. Find it. Once you feel like it's something that you can 100% commit to and it makes you feel good and you feel like you found purpose in that, don't ever let anybody deter you from that. Because I think like if you end up doing what everybody else does, that kind of shows you, where you end up. So I think it's important to like explore your gifts and your talents and like your territory and really just get out there and go for it. The world needs something new. If you've heard it and you're trying to create it, it already happened. So what's next? So I think that's something that's like important to really gravitate towards.
Okay, and what is next for Kenyon Dixon in the next coming years?
More R&B, for sure. More R&B. That's number one. I'm just looking forward to the growth in the music and getting back outside with the fans and doing shows, playing bigger venues, more collaborations, like just an expansion of everything that I'm doing right now. And it's happening in real time, which I appreciate. But yeah, I'm just excited for wherever it goes from here. And I know that it all just gets bigger. So yeah.
Okay, folks. Well, tell people where they can find you, the new project, all your updates.
Got you. Kenyon Dixon. If you love R&B, only if you love R&B, I have some R&B available. You can go to your favorite DSP, type in Kenyon Dixon. It's all there. My new album, The R&B You Love, is out now. It is absolutely the R&B that you love. And I'm Kenny Got Soul across all platforms. So tap in.
Make sure you keep it locked there right here and subscribe. I'm Jada, and we are Music Exclusives.